sitting there, knowing my 13-year-old cousin, Charisma, was gone forever. I knew this day was coming, but when it arrived, I still couldn't believe it. Charisma had been diagnosed with osteosarcoma, cancer in the bones, a year earlier. I remember the day she told us like it was yesterday. It was my worst nightmare, yet far worse than I could have ever imagined. When you're little, everyone has moments where they think, what if my mom died? What if my dad died? Usually when they're taking too long in the bathroom, or they leave you in the car a little too long. But I never thought my 13-year-old cousin would die. I mean, we were the same age. How was that even possible? Charisma and I were incredibly close. Growing up, I saw her and her sister 2 or 3 times a week. They always felt more like sisters to me. Charisma and I were the youngest, so naturally we spent the most time together. Most of my favorite childhood memories include her. Taking silly selfies when we were bored in church, her defending me when I got in trouble, and my personal favorite, her pantsing my brother on Christmas. She was one of my favorite people on this planet. To this day, she remains the kindest, bravest, most joyful, and loving person I've ever known. Nothing can prepare you for the death of a loved one. There's no handbook, app, chatbot response, or even TikTok that can help you survive it. Not even your own parents can prepare you for it. It's something everyone has to experience and figure out in their own way. But that doesn't mean you have to figure it out alone. Grief. Deep and poignant distress caused by, or as if by, bereavement. I want to focus on the phrase, or as if by bereavement. Grief isn't limited to death. It can also be felt from the loss of a friendship, dreams changing, losing a part of yourself, or just something you deeply cared about. Loss takes many forms, and so does grief. Grief has this way of making us feel unbearable. It tells us no one could possibly understand what we're going through and that we're acting dramatic or weak. When you're younger, this voice can feel even louder, especially when you don't yet have the words to express what you're feeling. All you know is that it hurts deeply, and you don't know where to put that pain. After Charisma died, I didn't know where to put my pain. I thought that being strong meant not showing any emotions, not bringing her up, and putting on a smile for everyone else around me. I thought that if I ignored my grief for long enough, it would just disappear. But grief doesn't work like that. It doesn't disappear when you avoid it. It might stop for a little bit, but then it comes back just as hard as before when you least expect it. One explanation of grief that stuck with me was the ball in the box analogy. I want you to imagine you have a box. Inside of this box, on one side, there's a button. Also inside of your box, you have a ball that is so big it almost fills the box. Every movement hits the button. When that button is pressed, it evokes feelings that come with grief, like deep sadness, possibly depression, feelings of loneliness, etc. As time goes on, the ball gets smaller. Because it's smaller, it hits the button less often. But even though it's hitting it less often, those feelings still feel just as sharp as they did in the beginning. But just because those feelings still feel sharp doesn't mean that you're grieving wrong. It means the grief is still there because the love is still there. What I've learned about grief is that it demands to be felt. Not fixed, rushed, or ignored, just felt. And again, grief isn't limited to death. It can be felt from a friendship ending without closure, dreams that are forced to change, or parts of ourselves we have to let go of as we grow. All of that is loss, and all of it deserves to be felt. Grief has this way of inviting us to remember while gently pulling us back to the present, to our breath, and to the life still occurring around us. When we allow ourselves to feel those feelings, it doesn't get rid of the grief and pain, but it softens. Suddenly, grief becomes something we can carry instead of something that weighs us down. This is something that isn't talked about enough, especially amongst young people. We're taught how to study, work, succeed, and build a life, but not how to grieve. Not how to sit with our feelings and be okay with not being okay. Grief has this way of isolating us. It tells us no one could possibly understand what we're going through. But actually, that's not true. Grief is one of the most universal human experiences. Everyone will have to experience it in some shape, way, or form throughout their life. So use that. Lean on the people around you, especially those walking through it alongside you. There's a quiet strength in sharing the weight. It doesn't get rid of the pain, but it serves as a reminder that you are never alone. One thing I've learned about grief is that it's not the end of love. Just because this person is no longer here or that we're in pain doesn't mean that our love for them doesn't have to continue. We can actually use that love to keep their memory alive. I do that by seeing people for who they truly are, caring for people deeply, holding on to joy, and laughing as much as possible. These are the things Charisma taught me. I still miss Charisma. I think about her every day, and I probably always will. But I want to return to where I began. Standing there, knowing my 13-year-old cousin, my sister, my partner in crime, was gone forever. For a long time, that felt like the end of the world. I couldn't imagine how anything could ever feel light again. But I was wrong. Because, like I said, love doesn't end with Charisma's death. I can carry it forward into who I am, especially when I sit with my feelings and allow myself to feel that pain. Loving Charisma and losing her changed me. It taught me how powerful love can be. Here I am today, standing in front of all of you, completely out of my comfort zone, in hopes of helping others as she helped everyone she met. She was one powerful girl. And that's what I think grief really is. Love that doesn't know where to go. Overflowing love. So for those of you grieving out there, I want you to know that grief isn't a shameful or bad feeling. It's actually an honor to feel it, because it's proof of how much love and care you have for this person. Grief isn't the end of love or even the opposite of it. It's the continuation of it. When we take that love, we can carry it into who we become, how we show up, and how we ourselves love. Charisma taught me how to love fiercely. Grief taught me how to love even after loss. And if love can survive loss, then maybe so can we. Thank you.